It's the Dean's List on Bermuda College Radio. Live 4.0, powered by the great folks at One Communications. One gives you more.
Yes, yes, yes. Happy Friday, beautiful people. It is the Dean's List on Bermuda College Radio Live 4.0, proudly powered by those great folks over at One Communications. It's your girl LA, and I'm joined in the studio. Well, and actually, not even in the studio. I'm so used to saying that. You would think I'd be used to it by now. I'm joined on this call with no stranger to the BC Radio family. Davika, what's going on?
Hey, hey, hey.
Yo, it is so wild, man. Like you would think, like we had a whole conversation, like right before we started this interview, and you would think that I'll be used to be like, oh yeah, I'm joined, in studio. Like we're not in studio, we're still in shelter in place, and but this is probably the closest I feel to you right now. So,
Yes.
What- what's good with you? How you been, love?
I'm been good. Just, trying to keep my mind together during this period. 'Cause in our personal conversation earlier, I mentioned I had been on quarantine before the lockdown. So I'm glad. Like Tuesday, when yesterday was yesterday, I don't even know what day it is. Good grief. Yesterday, the first thing I did outside was go skating. I don't know if you've seen, but I got roller skates
Hey,
recently.
you are listen. I saw it on your Instagram, I think, and you are such a brave soul to go skating. Because if I go skating, I am definitely gonna bust my butt. It's not even a question. I'm gonna bust my butt. So more power to you, because I applaud you for that.
Well, everybody falls, but it's something fun. I used to rollerblade when I was a kid, and I was like, oh, let's try the skate life and see how it goes. And I got these really fun skates, and it's been really, really fun. So that was like the first thing I did. I only had like about, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 days of skating before we went on shelter in place. So I was like, let's get outside.
I remember, I want to say the first time I tried, actually, it wasn't even roller skating, it was ice skating.
Hmm.
And my family, we have this thing where every year we go away, or every other year, I should say, we go away to Florida. And I remember this particular year, we decided to go on a cruise. So, on a cruise, it's like a pretty much like a moving hotel, amusement park,
Yeah.
and all this great stuff. So they had like a skating rink, an ice skating rink. And I don't know who told me to get skates and go skate on, this ice rink. Man, I made it maybe like a centimeter from the little pit, where you put the skates on and then
Yeah.
you hop onto the floor. I made it maybe like a centimeter. And it was like, nah, sis. Bloop. And ever since then, and then I don't know if you've been to Atlanta, and I think I'm pretty sure it's called Cascades. And you ever seen like those videos of like these really cool people just skating to music and like doing
Yes,
all
that's
these
my
tricks and stuff?
goal. I'm trying to be a
Oh,
skate dancer.
oh my god, I envy those people. I really do. I tried it, and again, it didn't work. So I was like, you know what? Lord said no. So Jesus said no. So I'm just going. I'm not even gonna go there. I'm not.
I get it. I totally get
Jesus said no.
it.
but, I mean, I really do envy you. That's gonna be dope. I can't wait to see you start skating and hit the little music and oh, it's yeah. You're gonna be like honestly, I'm gonna envy you. I'm totally gonna envy you. but now it's cool that you're getting back into this whole trying to get back into the skating and doing things that you enjoy, because like as you know, this past year has been like a whirlwind of
For sure.
emotions. So how have you been coping since not even just quarantine, but since this whole pandemic started for us last year?
It's been an interesting experience. It's been up and down. I think initially last year, and it's crazy because we were literally here exactly this time last year. But last year I wasn't so mentally affected by it. I'm a little more on the introverted side. I'm a homebody. Most people know that about me. So it didn't really bother me to have to like stay inside. And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't have to worry about like people sending me all these invites to events and like me being my Virgo homebody self, trying to socialize, but trying to get home at a decent hour because I need to recuperate. So initially it wasn't so much of a mental stressor for me. But I noticed like this year it's just been a little different. I think I'm definitely over it, as I'm sure we all are. And I wasn't one of those people that thought that it was gonna end when the clock struck midnight, January 1st, 2021. But you do have hopes that you can begin to just ease back into the kind of lifestyle that we're used to, as far as like socializing and getting out and not having restrictions. And I, in my quarantine, my 2.5 week quarantine, like that really took a toll on me mentally. I just got stuck in the low, like it was like Groundhog's Day. You remember that movie, Groundhog's Day? That's literally what it was like. So this time, like this past week, well, I'm still out of work because I work at a nursery, so I'm not going back to work anytime soon, I'm sure. So I'm just kind of taking this time to put my self-care practices back into place, start working on some, projects and things that just bring joy to me while I have the time to do them and get them started. And doing that, just even like these past few days, doing that has really been helpful.
Absolutely. I mean, especially for us, for our friends like across the seas, like overseas and across the pond, um, you know, like pretty much the world in like the United States has pretty much like opened back up, and we are now back on shelter in place,
Yeah.
or restrictions, as the government has put it. And like yourself, like even when this first happened last year, I mean, it did kind of affect me, because I'm kind of like you. I've always been a homebody. I've never really been, the type to that would be out like every weekend, like woo.
Yeah.
That was never my thing. But it did affect me in some way where it was like, okay, I'm tired of being in these four walls. What can I do?
Yeah.
um, so I definitely feel that, and it can put a damper, especially on your mental health.
Hmm.
Extremely, like it can put a damper on your mental health because you're kind of isolated, and even though you're an introvert, it's like you're an introvert times 20, because it's like
Yeah.
you can't have any contact with somebody. And God forbid if you live by yourself, it's even worse. I mean,
Yeah.
luckily for me, I live with my mom and my aunt, and even though they drive me up a wall sometimes, it's like, okay, at least I have some type of interaction with people.
Yeah.
Um, so for you as a creative, like how has that, would you say that's it's this whole pandemic and the shelter in place has increased your creativity or decreased it? Because you mentioned about self-care practices, which is so important, and I want to get into that a little later.
Hmm.
But as far from a creative standpoint, how have you found this pandemic? Well, especially this past what week, 2 weeks? Like you, I don't even know what day it is anymore.
I know.
What is it? Is it Tuesday? Is it Wednesday? Like I am
Yeah.
so confusion. Uh, how has it been help, or how has it been affecting you this past week and some change?
I think I would say this. So prior to maybe like at the beginning of this year, towards the end of last year, I came to this realization that for a considerable amount of time, maybe like the past couple of years, any creative thing that I've done was more work based than for myself. And I was like, so, or even just like a pandemic aside, going into this year, I realized that that was something that I needed to change, because when you're a creative person and you're an artist, like that is a part of your self-care for you. Like that's how you express yourself. That's how you stay in touch with yourself. It's it's a very intimate experience for artists to create. And I realized I was doing a lot of creating for clients. I have a client that I do some social media work for, so like creating graphics for her business pages, and whatever else I did for whatever other freelance jobs I had. But I wasn't just taking time to create it for me. And so I already had come into this year with that intention to get back to just creating for myself and bringing my own ideas forth to fruition. And it took a while for me to get into that groove, but now that I'm into it, it just makes such a world of difference. Like, I started a YouTube channel, um and which has been pretty exciting. I started a YouTube channel. I'm actually getting ready to launch my personal blog on Friday. And I've just been working on some ideas for like some art exhibits, for some solo art exhibits, because I've only done like one solo exhibit in my life. And I have so many ideas, and I find myself just kind of writing the ideas down or leaving them in my mind and walking away from them. And so 2021, I was like, okay, like this is like my time to get back to me and my artistic pursuits and endeavors. And so coming into also like this week and having better mental clarity, it's allowed me to be able to like focus on those things, give them some time and attention, not have so much of a cloudy, distracted, anxiety driven mind where I can't focus on anything. So it's been really great.
That's great, man. That's really great. Excuse me, especially when it comes to self-care practices and being able to take time for yourself. And I want to say that's kind of the good thing about this whole situation, that it's caused so many people to just slow down and just get
Mhm.
back to ourselves. um because before all this happened, it was about the hustle and bustle of
Yeah.
of life, you know what I mean? So what would you, when it comes to self-care practices, now obviously is different for everybody, but what what has been the most that's helped you? Would you find like meditation, journaling, connecting with nature? I know a lot of people have their own, you know what's the word, they have their own ways of
Yeah.
self-care, um healthy self-care practices.
This is
But
it.
yeah, because it's definitely a thing. What would you say would, what would you recommend for people that who may be in the same bubble as you, who are trying to cope with, getting back to the creative self? What would you recommend as far as self-care practices?
So for me, I have a variety of things, and then that's one thing I encourage people to do, is establish a routine of things that work for you. So like some of the things you mentioned, like getting out in nature, which unfortunately we hadn't been able to do as much up until now. But that's like a big help. So there's that little, what was it, hour a day, 1 kilometer, whatever it was from your house, that came in handy when the weather was good. um Also like spiritual practice, like for me, I'm a Christian, so I do my devotion in the morning, and that kind of helps to set my mind on like a good place to start my day. But journaling is a really big thing for me, and I love to tell people about the powers of journaling. And I don't journal every day. I've never been consistent when it comes to journaling, which people find weird because I'm a writer, but it's not like a thing for me to do it every day. But I do like to do it when I have something like heavy on my mind that I need to get out. And so I have a little process that I do, which is, if something's like really stressing me out, or if I'm going through like a period of anxiety or depression, I would just free journal and just dump everything that's in my mind into my diary, and just not stop myself. I don't edit myself. I just let it all come out like a huge brain dump. And then once I find myself getting to the end of that brain dump, I look back over, usually in the process of that brain dump, I I'm able to come to certain conclusions or realizations that help me begin to get over what was bothering me. But I can go back into my brain dump and like notice certain patterns and things that I said, and it helps me to really get to the root of what's bothering me, because sometimes you don't always know, you know. And then after I do that, I write down some things that I'm grateful for to help to shift my mind from what's stressing me out. And because sometimes when you're in that space, you kind of forget about the blessings that you have around you. So I go into a space where I do gratitude, and then after that, I just list some affirmations that go along with, you know, what's bothering me, just some positive statements to get me through that. And then usually by the end of that, like my mind is clear enough, like, you know, it's not all solved, but my mind is clear enough to begin to get back on track. So journaling definitely is key. And what I like to encourage people to do is to take that deep dive, which is what journaling for me helps me to do. I think a lot of us, you know, self-care is a trend. Let's just say it's a trend right now. You go on social media and you see like everybody in the moment talking about self-care, and things like getting a manicure, a pedicure, you know, that's a part of self-care. Having like that, you know, people like to do the goddess baths and stuff like that. Personally, I'm a shower girl, but like those things are all important because it's important to take time to do things for and with yourself. But let's not forget the deeper aspect of self-care, like the deep mental work that has to happen in order for you to really move past what's bothering you.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, it's, don't get me wrong, like I'm glad that, you know, it's a quote unquote trend, because, you know,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's very important that, you know, people take care of themselves. But you're
Yeah.
absolutely right. They just think that, oh, okay, well, self-care is, you know what? I'm gonna go order some stuff from ASOS because I want
Yeah.
to. You do that, boo boo. You do that. I'm with that. Because trust me, retail therapy is a real thing.
It
However,
is.
however, make sure you take care of your mental health as well. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I think that's the most important thing of it all. And I actually want to backtrack a little bit, because you know you mentioned that you struggle with depression and anxiety,
Mm-hmm.
and you're a Christian. How, because you know a lot of people would think, and you know, because I myself grew up in a Christian household,
Mm-hmm.
Pentecostal, where I'm not saying that, you know, depression and anxiety wasn't quote unquote real. It was kind of something that wasn't talked about.
Yeah.
So as a Christian, how do you find that stereotypical, oh well, you know, just pray it away, it will go away? Because don't get me wrong, prayer definitely works. Prayer is a extremely strong tool, and I
Mm-hmm.
am all about the whole prayer and talking to God. That is one thing that I truly believe in. I don't dispute that at all. But I think the conversation that needs to be had is that you can be a Christian and still struggle with depression and
Yeah.
anxiety and, you know, mental health. I don't like to call them disorders because, you know, it sounds a little weird, but
Mm-hmm.
you can still struggle with mental health, you know, challenges. You know what I mean? So as a Christian, how would you find that this, you know, that's stereotypical of, okay, well, you know, you're a Christian, so just pray it away? How would you answer that?
Yeah, so actually, I'm glad you brought this up because I was talking to somebody about this, like from my church, like a few weeks ago, actually. And truthfully, so for me, I started dealing with depression and anxiety in my adult life as a result of some experiences I went to like early on, like in my late teens, early 20s, like when I'm first entering into adulthood. And it kind of just left me really off balance in life. And for like during that period of my time, I would say like in my earlier to mid 20s, I wasn't so close to in my walk with God. And I didn't understand when people would say, just pray about it. Like, oh, just pray about it. And it can sound dismissive. And I do feel like people use it in a dismissive way. It's almost like how people say, oh, sending you love and light. It's like, it's almost like something people say when they don't know what else to say. It's like, oh, just go pray about it, you know, God will fix it. And that's not to say that I don't believe that I can pray about it and go to God, but because of like the tone of which it was used, I could not make that personal connection for the longest while. What actually helped me to make that connection was when I kind of got into initially started getting into finding self-care practices to help me mentally get through things. You know, a lot of people online, they meditate, they have their crystals and all of that. And I did, like, I had bought some crystals, I had the sage and stuff like that, but I couldn't connect with it. I couldn't connect with it. And I realized that, you know, like for me, because I am a Christian, it became like, okay, well, why am I using these things that I can go right to the person that I believe created it? And obviously, like, that's, you know, no disrespect to anybody that uses those things, because I do believe that, you know, we have our own path. We choose to believe what we each want to believe and what works for us, you know? But that didn't work for me. And I would see people that were into like those kinds of things talk about how their spiritual practices really help them. And I was like, well, if their spiritual practice can help them, then why can't my spiritual practice help me? And so I found that, like, once I had that thought and I started more intentionally approaching my relationship with God or my devotion time in the morning, kind of pouring out my heart about these things, having quiet time. And that's the key for me too. It's like, it's not just saying the prayer, but having the quiet time after the prayer to like just meditate on God, listen to what he has to say to me, because it's a prayer supposed to be a conversation, you know. But if I'm just like saying, dear God, blah 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 blah, amen, then I'm getting up and going about my way, where's the part when he speaks back to me in that time and space, you know? So that made like a huge difference for me approaching it that way. I still do think that within the church we have a long way to go as far as it comes to helping people to deal with mental health, but I have personally you know, seeing, you know, people make like efforts and strides in that way. But I think we do have a long way to go. But you know, if anybody's listening to this interview and you're a Christian and you have the same thing, like, we're all human at the end of the day. Like the Bible says, like, the rain falls on the just and the unjust. Like, we as Christians are not immune from the stresses of life. You know, we don't come to God and it's just an end or be all. We live and exist in this world just like everybody else, and we have the same daily pressures just like everybody else. But you know, like I said, everybody has their own spiritual practice based on, you know, what their religious and spiritual beliefs are. And so for me, like, once I kind of clicked into that and tapped into that, it really helped me um to really just get a better grasp on things mentally, and to really learn how to like pour my heart out to God and like listen to what he has to say to me. And that's really, and I, to be honest, I would say I've only been like doing that really for like the past year, but just that alone has really helped me tremendously.
That's great, man. You know, that's really great, especially when it comes to, you know, getting back into, you know, I guess your spirituality and connecting with your higher power, with God, or you know, for anybody that's listening, for whoever you believe in. um because, you know, as you said earlier, like, you know, it's people cope in different ways and they believe in
Mm-hmm.
different things. Now, I've never been that type of person who is, well, no, because, like, I mean, like I said, I grew up in the church. um I haven't been in a while, but you know, that's a
Yeah.
conversation. That's a conversation for another day. But you know, I grew up in the church, so but I was never that type of person. Well, you know, I believe in this, and this is what the Bible says to do in XYZ. I've never really been into the whole Bible thumping Because like you said, some things work for some people, some things don't. um so the fact that you can still remain in tune with you know God and what he wants. That's I take my hat off to you, because a lot of people struggle with that, especially
Yeah.
like when it comes to mental health.
Yeah.
Like you said, they just kind of dismiss it because that's all. It just seems the easiest thing to do. Like, well, yeah, just pray about it. But you're like, wait a minute. Like, what about
Yeah.
how I'm feeling? You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I
And I
really
think that's
commend that.
the biggest takeaway probably is to just internalize it for yourself. Like, this is my relationship with God. It's not my relationship with anybody else, or not anybody else's relationship with God, or it's my relationship with God. So like I had to take charge of that, and it's been really great. Like I see it more clearly than ever, the things that I need to work on in order to get to the place where I want to be in life. And I think it's a direct result of that practice.
That's great. I'm really proud of you. That's dope. That's really dope.
Thanks.
That's dope. So we about to wrap it up, but before we go, is there anything that you want to leave with the people in regards to, what's going on, like how to cope, or just to offer some type of encouragement? Because I think we can all use it. You can all use it right about now.
Yeah, I think yeah, definitely just want to encourage everybody out there. And honestly, we didn't touch this today, but not just in regards to the pandemic, but we see what's going on to our brothers and sisters. I'm gonna go there because it's been real heavy.
Yes,
You know,
indeed.
we got, this has actually been on my mind. Like last night, we got that the victory and the George Floyd case, but a few hours later, literally, there's a video popping up online of a young girl who got shot by the cops, and
Yeah.
it's never ending. And each of us as Black people in different areas of the world, we have our own issues that we deal with, but we having the accessibility to see through social media and the internet like what's going on, it's depressing. Like it weighs
Mhm.
heavy on our psyche. We're dealing with that. We're dealing with this pandemic at the same time. And so my biggest encouragement to you guys is to take some time to come down to earth. I know a lot of us are busy. Some of us have to work from home and school our kids from home at the same time. The situation is not the same for everybody. We're not all introverts who are actually enjoying, the shelter in place. But find, even if it's just a few minutes in your day, where you can just come back to earth, whatever that means for you. Whether you just turn all the lights and computers and devices off and sit in silence, or listen to your favorite music. Maybe you want to have a YouTube dance session, like whatever you need to do to come back down to earth at some point during the day, include that in your day. And that's my little tip or a piece of encouragement to everybody. It's not easy. This pandemic is not going anywhere anytime soon. And just take it in strides. Acknowledge your feelings when you feel them. Write it out, cry it out, talk it out, whatever you have to do. Just give yourself that time to come back to earth.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And just be gentle with yourself, you know?
Yes.
Um, it's to be very honest with you, I'm glad you brought it up because it's been heavy on my mind as well. Um, I actually didn't get no sleep last night.
Same.
um, I didn't get no sleep last night, if I can be honest with you, because like you said, I think we all breathed a collective sigh of relief
Mhm.
when we heard the verdict, in regards to the George Floyd case. And like you said, not even a few hours later, we hear about the young lady that was killed by police. And it's like, damn, can we, like, my initial thought was like, damn, just can we have
A moment,
one
yes.
moment to just, as a collective. I'm not even just Black people, because like a lot of, I also have a few of my white friends and a few of,
Hmm.
um other friends who were like, this is a great step forward, but it's still so much work to be done.
Yeah.
Still so much work to be done. Um, and my heart still goes out to like all the others who haven't experienced this justice, who
Mm-hmm.
haven't experienced, or who still their loved one is still a cold case, or they may not have had the opportunity to take it to court, or their murderers were acquitted. um the
Yeah.
Breonna Taylors, the Trayvon Martins.
And
It's
yeah, there's like so many people that we don't even hear about
Yeah,
that go through
it's
this, you
it's
know?
it's ridiculous. And it's, like you said, we just have to be gentle with ourselves, especially in this time. It's dealing with a pandemic, dealing with our own, you know, um, daily trials and tribulations that we go through, and then having to turn on the news and hear about, or turn on our phones and hear about this young lady. Forgive me, her name escapes me. I want to say it's Micaiah, I think. Um, I believe it's Micaiah. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. But this young lady that was taken so abruptly, and she's not even,
Yeah.
she's a young lady, a
He's a
young girl,
kid.
a kid. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like she was 15, 16. Like
15, yeah.
it just, I don't know, it's very heartbreaking. And like I said, I didn't get no sleep last night.
Yeah, me, I, me
It's just,
I was like, and like, to be honest, yesterday I was on such a high. I had like a really good day, and
yeah.
um, I got to the end of the day. I was like, okay, let me get an early night so I can like get up and get some work done before we had
Right.
our interview and my other Zoom after this. And I just, after that, I probably went to like probably closed my eyes like well after 3, and then next day look like my alarm's blurring, and I'm like, I've had Solange playing all morning because what else is gonna
Yep.
calm my mind at this point?
Yep. Same here.
Yeah,
Like, same here. I was up until, I want to say, about the same time, probably like three
yeah,
o'clock. Like I didn't actually close my eyes. Like, mind you, I turned off my TV and everything, turned off my phone. Had to been like at about like 9 o'clock, and I was literally just laying in bed, just thinking, from like 9 at night until like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I didn't close my
yeah,
eyes until I was just laying there, like, damn, like here we go
I
again, um but I really do send my thoughts and prayers to the family of the young
mm-hmm.
lady, who tragically lost her life to, yet again, the hands of local authorities, not here in Bermuda, but I believe it was in, where was it? I
I'm
don't
not
want to
even
say
sure.
Chicago.
I'm not even sure. I just remember like I logged into Instagram and that was like the first video at the top of my page, and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
I almost deleted all my social media right there. I was like, I can't take this anymore.
I can't say this no more.
Yeah,
I feel you, sis. I definitely feel you. But like you said, just be patient with yourself. Be gentle with yourself. Do what you need to do, and if you have to take a social media break, that helps
yeah,
tremendously. I promise
it
you,
sure does.
it does. But thanks so much again, sis, for popping through. It's always a pleasure catching up with you. Thank you
Yes,
so
thanks for
much.
having me.
Always,
I love our
always.
conversations.
I do too. Yo, look, I swear, like, I mean, I do want to, because I'm also working on another project, and I definitely want to have you on for that as well. But once we outside,
I
we
know.
gotta do a link up, man. We gotta do a link
Catch
up.
me outside.
Catch me outside.